Thank you so much for all the introductions. So, as mentioned, I am filling in the shoes of my mother, Priyamada Bhumkar, who has sent her regrets for not being here and also conveyed the best compliments to the organizers for this event. I do understand that it's a huge responsibility placed on me, which was placed just few hours ago. So I've tried to do my best to gather my thoughts. We have here stalwarts sitting with us and also joining us, whose journeys, independent of today's panel, I have always looked up to and admired. After all, I'm a Marathi mulga from Mumbai. So as we have a phrase in Marathi saying ki sambhalun घ्या, संभाल लेना, so I would request them the same thing. Without further ado, so for the longest time, the Indian chemical industry was looked at as a dirty, polluting factory for the West. We were infamous for firstly not having norms and then flouting the few norms that we did have. We've come a long way since then, and times are very, very different now. Indian chemical industry is now a partner, an equal partner, or rather a partner of choice at a global scale. All of this has been possible by the proliferation of technology innovation and stringency in QSHE standards, which is our topic today. We'd like to first begin, because everybody here comes from different subfields within the larger heading of health and safety and sustainability. Let's learn a bit about the specific work done by the stalwarts sitting here. I'm going to ask specific questions to each, and then there are a few general questions, and of course, if time permits, we'll open up to the floor. My first question is to you, Sharma sir. Your group, the DCM Shriram group, is in multiple industries and caters to multiple applications, right, from chemicals to cement into PVC fittings. Could you tell us how EHS agendas are panning across these different business verticals, and what safety means to your group at a strategic level, and how you translate that into each of these very varied businesses?
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for the nice question. I think in terms of chemical industry, as our group, DCM Shriram, you have given an introduction in terms of the sector we are. We are basically into not only chemical, we are right now having three verticals. One is agri-rural business, which takes care of the agri inputs to the agri-culture as well as other activities. The second vertical is about chlorovinyl business, which takes care of various chemicals, which is chloralkali as well as cement, PVC, and other allied businesses. And the third one is the value-added business, which is Fenesta, which is UPVC doors and window. And we have also added aluminium doors and windows in that. And in terms of EHS is something which is looked at in terms of an overall value to various businesses. That is part of an integral activity, and driving this aspect in terms of a responsible corporate, because as we heard in the morning also, the commitment towards goal zero by 2070 is something which is I think every corporate is aggressively working towards, and we are no less. And having said that, I think chemical industry is something, just to let everyone know, is around 6% of our emissions are contributing towards global carbon emission. So there is need to look at various aspects that how we can contribute. But as also mentioned in the morning session, it's a hard abate sector where a lot of efforts are being made, but those are not enough. So is our industry, which is not less than any other industry, struggling, but at the same time having focus on these aspects right from the corporate level, that is at the strategic, and how these things are getting integrated in terms of environmental aspect, because as the businesses, these chemicals, these are inevitable in terms of our daily life. In every part of our activity, chemicals are required. And it is anticipated that by 2050, this chemical demand is going to double. So is the energy requirement also. So I think the need is to look at various low carbon emission technologies, which are right now being innovated also, and there are a lot of, I think, disruptive innovation taking place. So we need to look at these things. So at company level, we have identified various areas, starting with how we can look at this environmental aspect, integrating that in our various business verticals, starting with the very first one, where biomass is something which is looked at as energy resource in terms of greening our energy mix. So would like to share that during the previous year, our energy portfolio, we are 42% green in terms of our direct emission. That's through biomass utilization, which has ultimately resulted into almost 18 lakh tons of CO2 emission reduction during the year. In terms of design aspect, which is also included in the boilers itself, we are right now increasing not only this biomass input to our various coal-fired boilers, where existing capacities are to the tune of some 15%, that we are going to increase to almost, our aspiring target is to increase to 20%. And the new boilers which are getting designed and under implementation, the extent to which the biomass utilization can be done is to the tune of 40%. So what I'm trying to say is, whatever opportunities are coming in underway is getting explored in terms of greening our energy mix. To further look at in the area of carbon capture and utilization is something which we have already implemented at one of our facility in Kota, whereby the lime sludge which is getting generated from one of our calcium carbide plant is dried using flue gas, which is having not only waste heat but also having CO2. This calcium hydroxide sludge is converted into calcium carbonate, which is a raw material for our cement plant, which is again there at our Kota site. So it's a circular economy sort of real implementation, which is available for us in terms of not only utilizing but also reducing our carbon footprint. So this small initiative has not only resulted into almost 21,000 tons of CO2 emission during the previous year. Going forward, in terms of, we heard about hydrogen in the previous session. So as one of my colleague Ankur also mentioned about hydrogen, which is one of our byproduct since the inception of our plants. So that hydrogen is used right from inception as a fuel for our various furnaces. That is ultimately replacing fossil fuel that are being used in our plant. So which ultimately is again directly reducing the GHG emission in terms of fossil fuel. And that's how. And going forward, we have already put up 150 megawatt hybrid plant at Bhavnagar, from which this green power is now available for our chlor-alkali plant. So thereby this hydrogen that we are producing, or chlorine or caustic alkali, all these are in a way are getting green component in whatever we produce. Then the other aspect of circular economy is something which is being looked at in terms of not only recycling our waste to the tune of some 25% of our byproducts are recycled as key raw materials in our various processes, which includes not only lime sludge but also fly ash that is utilized for our cement production. Sugar is another business whereby we produce a lot of byproducts like molasses and bagasse. Bagasse is utilized for not only captive power generation, but also the surplus is passed on to the state grid. And the molasses is something which I would like to share is getting converted into alcohol, and that alcohol to the tune of some 500 kiloliters per day goes for alcohol blending. So what I'm trying to say here is that there are a lot of initiatives which ultimately are integrated in all our business activity. So the environment is not only key to the sustainability of business, but also caring for environment is something which is looked at. And in terms of plastic waste, whatever bags that we are sending, though it's an EPR obligation, but efforts are being made in terms of recycling that during the previous year to the tune of some 70% of our plastic bags were recycled through our engaged plastic co-processing partners. And since we have our cement plant also, so efforts are also made in terms of taking various high value, calorific value waste for co-processing which during the previous year had contributed to almost 600 tons of CO2 reduction. And in terms of energy efficiency, that's also something in chemical industry we follow, whereby cogen is something which we are having at our facility in Kota, which contributes to almost 3.4 lakh tons of CO2 emission reduction. And I think nature-based solution is something which also, I think yesterday in Delhi, there was a meeting regarding this green carbon credit, the rules which are already, I think, draft for comments available now for us, which I think is a very, very positive step of one of its kind across the world. I would say India is the first one to begin this initiative, whereby this nature-based plantation is something where nature-based solution, that plantation, not only in-house but outside the plant premises, is something which is on continual basis, can contribute to our national goal of 1 billion tons of CO2 sink that our Honorable Prime Minister has committed by 2030. And in terms of water, is something which is core for any chemical industry. We are happy to share right now is that we are 12 times water positive with various initiatives in terms of conserving water, creating various ponds, check dams in terms of rainwater harvesting. And going forward, there are a lot of potential that is available. So during the year, we also had initiated life cycle assessment, which was talked in the morning, so that we see what are the hot points where we can further improve upon various things in terms of energy initiatives, if at all that can be taken in our processes, so that we further reduce our GHG emission. That's the activity we had initiated, and in the times to come that will be extended to all our products so that we can explore the opportunity of reducing further GHG emission. So this was about the environment part. And also during our interaction with various farmers, as we are in agri-business, there are efforts made in terms of getting those carbon credits for them by association through collaborating with the Bhumitra, through the various agri practices, which also ultimately contribute towards reducing carbon emission. So those monetary benefits are also being passed on to farmers, not only providing them opportunity to improve their income, but also sustaining these practices in the times to come. So that's one endeavor which we had collaborated during the past 2 years. And in terms of safety, as I said, EHS is seen as a value in terms of having things in place at all time. So during the last 6 to 7 years, lot of emphasis has been put in terms of efforts in terms of behavioral safety as well as process safety management. That is something which is core to any chemical industry. So there are specific actions that have been taken at various sites where everyone is involved in terms of making safety observations. We firmly believe that all accidents are preventable. So with that mindset, everyone is encouraged to look for hazards in terms of making safety observations. Fearlessly, that's the culture that is being created, so that every small unsafe act, unsafe condition or near misses are getting reported. And here emphasis is made in terms of making observation that if you see something, you have to say something. What it means, if you see something good happening, appreciate it. And if you are seeing something which is wrong in terms of any unsafe activity or unsafe act, then in that case it has to be corrected there itself. That spot correction is something which is being emphasized, so that we build a real safety culture whereby everyone cares about every other person. So that's something which is not only part and parcel of any activity that we do, but it starts from home, where an employee starts for work when he is coming. And that is why this safety is something which is extended to the families, because mindset is something, when you have everything, safe mind ultimately can work safely inside as well as outside the plant premises. That's the philosophy that we have been encouraging and following in all our sites. And it's a journey where this endeavor is, it's a long way to go, but certainly an effort towards the direction in which we are setting HSC or EHS as part of our business activity.
Thank you so much for the wonderful insights, which combined some great philosophies, but also some great tangible examples that are seeing them through. My next question is for Alok ji. You're part of the Tata Group, and the Tata Group is changing or redefining the landscape of the country today. They've launched a very beautiful initiative called the Alingana initiative, which I recently found out has a very wonderful meaning to embrace, which is a net zero target by 2045. Could you walk us through how all of this, the whole global movement firstly, and then the whole Tata Group's initiatives towards sustainability, towards HSE, pans out for the chemicals business? And because you have great expertise in this field, we'd like you to highlight your experience, especially with hazard mitigation.
Thanks, Dishan. So, good evening, everyone. My job is very easy because I work for DCM Shriram. I work for the United Phosphorus. So, whatever Neela ji and Sharma ji, he has already said, he is going to say, I imbibe that, right? So, actually half of the job is done. I will talk about something on the leadership because environment, a lot of things we have heard of, and I will come to that. But before that, the leadership, and when the Tata's name come, normally if you ask people, the one thing which come top of the mind is, yes, the ethics is something which is they are known for, code of conduct and all. And, as a leader, we thought, can we be known for the safety also? Can we get there and safety be seen as a leadership? Or sustainability as a whole be seen as Tatas are leaders in the sustainability and safety front. And there then we thought, okay, how can we do this? Because it's not 1 decade, 2 decades, it's many decades which we are there. And till now, if you are not able to do that, probably something which we have to do differently to go there. A couple of things, 3, 4 things I will just share because those are important apart from many other things which we are doing. The first thing which we thought is, it is all about leader, and it's not only role models, building a role models. You can build few role models in your company, but beyond role models, which is a visible leadership, you can see the role models doing something which is visible, and then people follow them. But beyond that, I think it is more of a felt. So we said, okay, it's not visible and role model. We are not limiting ourselves. You should be a felt leader. Because, normally what you say, people are defined by what you actually do. That's our belief. So we said, okay, we'll build the felt leaders. And it's not an easy job, let me tell you. And it starts right from the top. If your managing director is a felt leader, people believe that what he's saying, he will walk the talk. It starts from there. But every day you don't see a managing director or your other vice president or so. The people see the people who are at the shop floor, your senior management, your middle management, who are there, right there. And people, every guy who is there in shop floor, they observe these people, whether they are ascending, descending, doing something, saying something. So we said we will make these leaders as a felt leader. And believe you, if we develop these kind of 50, 60, 100 leaders, then our job is done. Because then you will find that every shop floor there is a one leader, where other people who are seeing them, they will follow them. So that's one thing which we have started few years back. Now we are intensifying, and we are also taking support of DSS. My friend is sitting here, Viren. I'm very happy that DSS is supporting in this journey. But there are a few things which internally we are doing that, because ultimately even if you take support from outside, Gujarati mein they say that karu padse. You have to do it. Somebody competent, they can come and teach you experience, they share the experience and all, but ultimately it is you as a leader who have to do this. So what we thought, okay, these guys who are at middle management up to senior management, they should become a safety evangelist. They should feel and they should internalize this safety. A recent, I'm just sharing because it is important for, maybe important for all of you. Last year we have started one intervention where we said, okay, every month 3 of these executives who are either HOD of a particular plant or they are leading a bigger function, they should come and work in safety function for 1 month. As and there is a fully chalked out program. Every week I'm talking to them. Every fortnight managing director is talking to them. And we have completed 4 batch. And the kind of change we are seeing, the cultural shift, the mindset shift which we are seeing, that it is unbelievable actually. When they are going back, they are different people. So with this felt leadership and these two, I think a lot of changes we are seeing, which will definitely take us to the leadership. Another thing which is, I will conclude with the thing which Sarmaji already talked about, but I will emphasize it, that nowadays chemical industries, and a week back I was talking in Ashokem, one of the conference like this, and there was this concern raised that, yeah, a lot of good plans are there, billion-dollar plans are there, but it will only happen when we'll make our face in a manner that, yeah, chemical industry is something which is not a bad sector, it is a good sector. So, so what we are doing, the third thing, the risk-based approach. There are hazards everywhere. Chemical industry, every other step you take, there is a hazard. But what we are saying that hazards, a lot of people are taking care. But are you taking care of hazard, or your approach is risk-based? Many a times we focus on the high hazards and we miss where the risk is actual. And the accident and incidents are happening there. So we have adopted PSRM, many of us you know, but we are actually doing that. And these 3 things are very, last year we have emphasized more, we have strengthened more. That is why I'm sharing this, that by this we feel that maybe this is a step towards going to a leadership, attaining a leadership in safety. Thanks.
Thank you so much for that answer. Thank you for telling us about the different organization level things you're doing. And also personally for me, this was a huge learning that you distinguish between risk and hazard. I think we can all think park that thought and think about it once this is done. My next question is for Suresh ji to you. For a long time, nobody would have associated the printing ink industry with sustainability or health and safety. Today, that's a very different story, where people are concerned about the safety aspects of packaging, whether, you know, especially when consumers are using them, or when children are using them and things like that. And especially if you talk about now the things like circular economy, where reusing, recycling are very, very important. The packaging industry is right in the middle of all of this. So what is your take on that? And could you walk us through how the Huber Group is doing incredible work in the safety health space and also for the circular economy?
Thank you, Jashan, and good evening, everybody. Very large question. I'll try to be as short as I can, okay? But before that, if you allow me, I'll share a very small joke on sustainability, maybe. So there are 2 planets somewhere in some galaxy. And one of the planet met the other planet and said, "Hey, you look like hell." The other planet said, "Yeah, you're right. I also don't feel very good." So the first planet asked him again, "What happened to you?" The second planet said, "No, the problem is I have Homo sapiens at my planet." First planet laughed and said, "Don't worry. I had them too. It will pass soon." So the crux is what you're saying. I think we all are collected here because we want to continue in the planet. We want our planet to continue. And everybody has the responsibility for that. And before I go to printing ink, I would like to also thank what what we heard from Sharmaji and Alokji, absolutely right. The most important thing when it comes to sustainability, circular economy, EHS, and I think ESG, all of them put together, there are various topics, and you all are an expert on the topics. I'm a generalist, but I can tell you that this one thing is changing. When Praveen ji asked me which session you want to be part of, and I'm not an EHS guy as per my expertise goes. I'm a general manager, so I am the P&L leader for the company. We have 5,000 people in India, 5 large sites, a couple of plants all around Asia. My responsibilities for that, but I ensured that I attend this session because that's exactly the talk. So it's to learn, one, that to show to the whole employee base in the company that how important these topics are, to show to our investors how important these topics are, and also for ourselves that we know that we are giving time and importance to these topics. So that's the reason. So my main aim today is not just to share, because I will rather like to learn a lot. So that's what I'm saying, very good discussions which we already had. Coming to printing inks quickly, Hoover Group is a very old company. We are a 258-year-old company. So we have seen centuries. We have seen world wars and recessions. It's headquartered in Germany with a very large base in India. As I said, we have 5,000 employees in India. So India is a very integrally important part for the whole organization because India is almost our manufacturing base. So we work all around the world with headquartered in Germany, but India is where our manufacturing base is. And that's why it becomes even more important. And I always tell the people, we do not have our manufacturing base in India because it is easy to do whatever you want to do in India. No, that's not the case. We believe India is very efficient people, very efficient processes, and we entered here at the right time. We entered in almost 25 years back already in this country, so it was much easier that time. And we have very efficient ETP plants, water treatment plants, etc., as per German standards usually it should be. So this is something which comes to the core of the company, and I can say it with pride that if we are 58-year-old, yes, we understand sustainability. We made ourselves sustainable. Printing inks, for that matter, has always been, because it is associated also with other industries, dyes, etc., because it uses pigments. But printing ink is a different industry. But important point is, like any other industry, we use chemicals. But also we use a lot of products which are not chemical related. So we use a lot of, for example, gum rosins, we use algae, we use a lot of vegetable oils as a base, resin and varnishes for our products. So we try to balance it as much as we can. And we have even bigger responsibility because I can very safely say that everybody sitting in this room touches our product right from the time you are awake in the morning till the time you're sleeping. And I can very quickly use some of them. You take tea in the morning. The first thing in the morning, I'm sure all of us take tea. Whether you use in English breakfast dip tea, it is printed. If you are using a normal Indian way of making, still you are using a flexible packaging which uses printing ink. Then you open a newspaper, that's all printing inks. Then you go have your breakfast. If you're having parathas, it's nice, but if you're having anything from a box, like a cereal box or something, yes, you're using printing inks. Then you order any food during the day from Swiggy's or Zomato's, etc. You're using products which are coming with printing inks. If you are a fan of having some good drink in the evening, the Scotch bottles or something, all nice, beautiful boxes are with printing inks. If you like to read a little bit of a book right before you're sleeping, you're using printing inks. So we touch your lives every single day, multiple times a day, and almost everybody. That makes it very, very important for a company like ours to understand sustainability, to give products which are environmental friendly, which can be compostable, which can get into either a recycle or repurpose or reusable, instead of just going into linear economy. And we are not a circular economy company yet, of course. It's not always easy. We talk about it. But we try to be at least with an economy with a feedback loop in it. So we have some products which can be recycled, reused, or repurposed, etc. Not 100%, but that's where the goal of our organization is. And that's why I'm here today, to find out people who are actually doing and how they're doing it, and we learn from them. So that's That's what my
Thank
take
you.
on
Thank you
this
so
is.
much for those insights. Before QSHE became a buzzword that it is today, Bayer has been known for being the gold standard in chemical plant operations. So, how is the story panning out today? So, could you maybe paint a picture in front of our imaginations and take us into a Bayer plant and highlight to us what qualities, what health and safety systems we might encounter if we enter a plant along with you?
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for the question. And, Bayer, you said gold standard for safety. We learned through, a lot of accidents. We too have had accidents. We too, till now we are having, injuries. And the important point is we learn from it. Over a period of time, we have started putting in a lot of resources into safety. We thought that, safety is the way you set the tone for the business. So we have also a vision of, health for all and hunger for none. So our products and our businesses are like that. We have crop protection businesses as well as we are pharma and consumer health businesses. All our facilities are having, good safety infrastructure. We have different specific group called as process and plant safety because that is where because we are dealing with chemicals and this group understands the importance of process safety. We focus on process safety as the most highest priority. Just to give an example, the plant at our Vapi was given around 100 crores on a project called FELS. So FELS stands for Fire, Explosion, Leakage and Spillage. So to address these risks, we spent around 100 crores. And Bayer Vapi is the second best facility of Bayer in the entire world. So you can imagine the amount of investment that has gone. From the management side, we strongly believe in behavioral safety. As both of my colleagues mentioned about behavioral safety, exactly the same thing we also have learned, and we talk about the incidents, we talk about safety, we talk about unsafe acts, and we don't shy away from talking about incidents. In fact, globally we have database where all the incidents are getting reported. Last year we had 30,000, including near misses getting recorded, and we also use AI into our incident reporting system where the machine picks up words from the reported incidents and they bring out as high priority incidents. So what we call them safe potential incidents. So severity incident and fatality potential. So these the machine takes out incidents globally and shows that these are the high severity incidents, and we work on them to find out the root causes and implement globally. So there are multiple things, and nothing has come out in a short span of time. It is again we are also there from 1850 kind of company, and so we learned a lot through our own mistakes. But yes, safety, you can, if you are walking through the plant, looking at the facility, you can make out that lot of things are there related to safety. Not only the displays and the notifications, but also the condition of the plant or the safety features of the plant are excellent. We sometimes feel very proud about walking through these plants, and also talking to our leaders, you will definitely see that there is a punch of safety, and he or she is trying to communicate something about safety to the entire team. So that is in a nutshell.
Lovely. Thank you for the clear insights, and it was very interesting to see how you use technology and in particular AI for risk mitigation. Really, really wonderful to know. Do we have the tech sorted? And if yes, we can hear from Geetali, Ms. Geetali now.
Yeah, it looks like the panel has not a great luck with women Hear me now? Okay, okay. May not be very clear. I just disconnected. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Let me continue with your question, Mr. Bhumkar. And thank you for letting me actually join virtually. I said, let me do the honor of being, the EHS women professionals as part of the panelist. So yes, taking up the question ahead on Jivadon, really a great company to work with, and with very high focus on sustainability. We have also our purpose is actually, to build happier, healthier lives. And was as Mr. Suresh was talking about how the printing inks are related to the day-to-day life. Very similar is Jivadon business. We are into flavors and fragrances. And right from the time that you have used your toothpaste, so you have different kind of flavors into it. Then you have a coffee, the roasted coffee has a different flavor. Maggi masala, so all of these things that you have in your day-to-day life, every type of masala that you talk about has a fragrance, whether you use the detergent powder, the kind of the fragrance that it has, and the every type of food that you eat. It is, it has the fragrances. So Jivaudan is very much, and we are the industry leaders, so we are very much part of your life on day-to-day basis. Now that makes us very much responsible. So amongst all the companies which are representing on this particular panel, ours is one of them which is very, very close to the nature. And our logo itself actually talks about human by nature. So I don't know how many of you have heard about the story that, not story, sorry, it's no more a story, that by 2050 chocolates would get extincted, coffee could get extincted, and is, is climate change. So chocolates, you must be knowing that, it can actually strive, or actually it can grow only in 20-degree north and south of the equator, and has very specific requirement for the cocoa to be grown in terms of the rain, the harvesting, the humidity. And so for coffee, again, the climate change, the way it's really been responsible is that there are some type of actually pests, the leaf rust, which are being grown more and more with the increase in temperature. So between 2012 to 2017, there's loss of around 2.5 billion euros in terms of the loss to the farmers in terms of coffee cultivation. So coming back to Jivaudan and the context that I'm giving, and how the whole of this climate change is connected to Jivaudan business, and what we as a company we are doing. So first of all, we have a very bold ambition of being actually RE100. So which means that all our scope 1 and 2 by 2025 will be from 100% of renewable source of energy, and we are already 90% by 2022. So we have so that's one of the part of our journey towards being carbon neutral by in fact net zero by 2045 and carbon positive by 2050. We also have a very bold ambition of cutting down our 70% of emissions by using the the science-based target initiatives. And we were one of the first major companies to really sign in with these agreements in 2019. And like many of these other panelists have actually already shared, of the initiatives are very similar, because it's like really good to not reinvent the wheel in terms of how we can have the scope 1 and 2 emissions down. And we are also into biomass, use of biomass, and use of actually the renewable source of energy, a lot of solar projects. But in addition to this, what's really been specific to our business and what we have been doing is we have an excellent program called as Sourcing for Good. And we have 14,000 plus vendors with whom we have been working in terms of in a very strategic way by really having these vendors into 4 different categorization and trying to work with them to see how we can have sustainable sourcing and accordingly, in fact, also help in terms of reducing the scope 3 emissions. Yeah, that's one part of it. And the second part of it is we are very closely working with the farmers. And one of the example is actually in Brazil, where guarana is one of the iconical botanical plant, and it's known to be actually helping in terms of fighting the tiredness, boosting the physical mental performance. And this was something which actually was kind of getting extended, and we worked with the farmers to increase the biodiversity and really ensuring that this particular crop grows well. So a lot of things that are on the grassroots level that we have to work as part of our business, and our major customers are, we are into the B2B business. So our major customers are like Coca-Cola, PepsiCo, then Nestle. And believe me, in our kind of business, we can't go ahead without really committing to sustainability. In our tenders itself, we have to actually fill up something called as PDC. So it's the product carbon footprint. So the product that we are going to manufacture, what is going to be the carbon footprint of that? So it's that's the trend that's coming up in this kind of an industry.
Great.
So thank you. That was really a very short brief, and
Thanks.
hopefully it was short.
Thank you so much for those lovely insights, and it's incredible to know of all the grassroots work that Givaudan is doing, and hopefully we can see many positive effects of these, including coffee not going extinct, because I don't know about the world, but I will definitely be miserable if that happens. So we hope that doesn't happen. My question is now to Nilay ji. UPL is doing, it's already renowned for all the work that it is doing in the EHS space. All of this work has also been very nicely recognized through many awards. For example, the company won the National Gold Award for Sustainable Development in 2020. There were also more specific awards for water initiatives, energy conservation initiatives, and the likes. In short, my question to you is, कैसे कर लेते हो आप? And or if you could break it down into the different aspects, right from the incident, accident, the reporting systems, handling hazardous chemicals, so many aspects that underlie this incredible work that's happening.
Thank you, Jashan, and good evening to all. See, this is a very, very broad question, and I think right from Sharma ji to the whole line and Geetali, everybody has tried to answer it. But I will just touch upon another aspect which I am very passionate about, and that aspect is the culture, the HSE culture. So if somebody asks me for my job description, and this I have actually done in some of the interview. So a very senior director of company asked that, what is your job description? So I told in only 2 verbs. First is I document the HSE management system. Second is I implement the HSE management system. And around it I draw a circle. I promote the HSE culture. So that is a one-liner job description for the HSE professional. So doing this, it requires not only, I mean, I would definitely agree with the leadership, but it is from boardroom to tool room. See, ultimately, the person who wastes water in the field or who drains an acid in the nala, not in ETP, or who suffers injuries on his hands or legs, is absolutely a person who has got hands on the valves, or he has a grease on his hands. And that person who is in the tool room is the most important key to bring about the HSE culture, whether it is a health, whether it is a safety, or whether it is an environmental aspect. And the whole sustainability part of company depends on that particular thing. So putting up the right management systems, like we start with, I think my colleagues told about the reporting. And the reporting can be as fast as it should be done. If you can't report an incident in 30 seconds, then it's lost. Nowadays, if you see all the other sectors, in fact, in COVID, what happened that they opened your bank account in 30 seconds. They opened your Demat account in 30 seconds without stepping out of your home. So why can't we report any incident in 30 seconds? And if that incident is reported by the person whose hands are clogged with grease and who has glove on his hand and he has a tool on his hand, and once he starts reporting this thing, then we create a database. Now for us, being a multi-sites, and in my earlier assignments also I have worked in different roles, where the whole company database worked as a university. We also run UPL University. But what I tell my colleagues, that for safety, we ourselves are UPL University, where our Indian 50 sites and international 40 sites, we have huge database, and we are not using this database to correct ourselves. There are no new incidents. If you see the incidents database, there are no new incidents, but there are only new people who repeat the same incidents after 3 years, 4 years, because the knowledge is gone. So how do we use, like machine learning? We are also now, not yet there, but we are trying to adopt machine learning and AI from the database, and we have rolled out a softwares to report the incidents as fast as possible. In fact, in my previous organization, I had worked about a simple software that a person can pick up a landline, he can speak anything, and that will generate a voicemail. It will record that from where he has basically been reporting. On वो he will just tell, मैं ये बोल रहा हूँ XYZ, ये plant से बोल रहा हूँ, यहाँ पानी का line leak हो रहा है. That email is going automatically to the area owner of that plant, and immediate actions, जैसे बताया हमारे previous कि immediate actions are taken and feedback is given to him. So, right reporting, right incident analysis, the depth of incident analysis, like we always, in my career I have seen human being को blame करने का culture we still have. After a lot of coaching and my very senior friends, I have also passed through DSS journey. I have also passed through that journey in 2004 and 5 when my previous company started that journey. But still we are, and they always teach us that you don't stop at human being. You look at the systems and you look at the failures. But the problem is that we still blame it, and then we ourselves fall from the generative culture or productive culture to a reactive culture. So culture building is the most important tool. And that culture building, like Sharma ji also told, that it is felt leadership. You can feel cold in this room. The AC is too cold, right? The leadership is also like that. You feel it. You don't measure it. You don't ask anybody, but you feel it. So like a leader is there, he is there in field, he is with you, and you feel it. And that creates a right behavior. And a person cannot be different from 9 to 5, he cannot be a different personality. 5 to 9, he cannot be a different personality. Split personality to chalega nahi. So we have to build up that right culture exactly, and that is what our efforts are there. I am not saying we are there, but building upon my experiences from Shell for 10 years, even Reliance for last 10 years, now UPL completing 6 months, these all programs we have put up, fully supported by management, like other industries supported by DSS, we also have consultants. So they are supporting us for this culture transformation journey. And it will never happen fully until we have a goal achieved of goal 0. So it is about the culture, the sustainability, the reports, but if a reporting is there that a drop of water is going somewhere else, then we have achieved our goal. So all in nutshell, I would just combine it in a simple 2 words. Have a perfect documented systems, have a perfect implementation. In HSC, one of the hazard to the professional is taking new initiatives and forgetting the old one. So take an initiative, like I always quote a sentence of Bruce Lee. So once upon a time, he was going for a fight, and then his colleague said that, you know whom you are going to fight, he knows 1,000 steps. So Bruce Lee said, okay, I don't worry. I would be worried if you tell me that he knows one step but he has practiced 1,000 times. And that is exactly we want in safety. So it's a culture. We are still not there. It's a long way to go. But if we take the right step in the right direction, we will be there. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that lovely answer. In the interest of time, I'm just going to ask a general question and throw it open to the panel. But before that, I'd like to summarize and get together the beautiful common threads that we've got through this discussion. We got a lot about organization culture and its importance in health and safety from Sharma ji, from Alok ji, and also now from Nilay ji. We also heard some incredible things about technology from Amish ji, and also again Nilay ji spoke on it on the use of machine learning and AI in risk mitigation. And we also got another beautiful perspective from consumer interaction. Both Suresh ji and Ms. Gitali were very particular about the responsibility that they feel to the consumer. So that was extremely insightful to know of. My question now to the panel is related to not just mindset, but also related to some practical aspects of it. You know, when you talk about health and safety, it's often perceived, especially if you look at local players or MSME players, it's often perceived as something only for the big guys, only for somebody who is multinational or is playing in with that kind of customer base. Especially when you hear about so many resources being spent on those agendas, though of course everybody realizes it's important. If you talk about AI being used for those kind of things, that's very intimidating for a lot of entrepreneurs from the MSME industry to hear about. So if somebody is just starting out on that journey, if there's a local company who's building size and scale and wants to embark on this journey, what would be the key takeaways for them according to you? It's a general question, we can answer in any order.
Shall I pick up, Sharma ji? Sure. So what you do at your home when your child learns to walk? And that is exactly any industry, whether it is small or big, it should be taking up. So what we do with our child, do we allow the child to touch any sharp object or any other thing? So even in small industry, I would say they would just have a factory license and only 20 people. But they would start, it will be very easy to start with that culture. So there are two things. One is a care for child, which we should do in industry. And when I go for my observation rounds, I discuss with supervisor that this person is doing unsafe. Why are you not intervening? The supervisor gives me a lot of excuses. I just changed my question. I said, if he is your younger brother, would you do anything different? And he immediately changes and he does all the things which he wants him to prevent the unsafe act. So any industry, any type of industry, I mean, we begin with the culture, we begin with the leadership, we put right systems and we are there. Thank you.
I'll add a little bit because it's culturally, yes, absolutely. Culture is very, very important. At the same time, and because I'm a P&L guy, I can say, it should be whenever you're starting a small business, you have to build in as part of your P&L. You have to build in that. Gone are the days when you can say that, oh, I'm in a dirty business, but doesn't matter, I can throw the water anywhere. Absolutely. Or I'll take. You have to, if you cannot do it, it's better not to be in that business. You have to build it. Otherwise, it will not go a long way.
I think just to add, though culture is important, but it's already underway right now. I think many of you are aware. What is BRSR? It's not only limited to big corporates, where this business responsibility and sustainability reporting, where ESG assessment of all your value chain partners, upstream as well as downstream, how your activities are ultimately you are sharing with them as well as you are influencing them in a way. So that is how this entire, I think, we talked about goal zero. So unless everyone is involved, this collaboration is something which is, I think, inevitable. Unless you have collaboration, you cannot achieve. Whether it is safety, environment, health, any topic we talk about, that's what this BRSR is, which was 2 years back, it was voluntary. Now this year it is mandatory. And in the times to come, what is already SEBI notification last week, it's already there now, where you have to have assurance of what you are reporting, even for the value chain partners. Though the government is giving a lot of time, it's not immediately, 2 to 3 years time, for various players, so that everyone across the value chain are involved in this entire activity, where not only goal zero, what we talk about in corporate or bigger organization, it is also applicable for MSMEs also.
Thank,
So only one thing which I just wanted to share, that we have to take human life much more seriously, I think. The day we realize this, I think our job is done. Whatever system, processes, management, leadership, culture, all we talk about, but this is the key of everything. So I think as the leaders, we have to take human life much more seriously. Yeah.
in the interest of time, we are going to skip the Q&A session, and I think the speakers will be available for some time to take them off stage. Thank you so much for all the lovely insights here. The session was titled Health, Safety, Environment, the Missing Link, but I think with the wonderful insights that we've got from our speakers here, we're all empowered and energized to at least put a few more blocks to building that link ahead.